Good cloudy, good raining, बल्कि stormy evening and a very warm welcome to the black hole. सिंथेटिक बायोलॉजी या बायोटेक की दुनिया में पाकिस्तानी तलबा क्या कर रहे हैं, क्या कर सकते हैं, उन्हें क्या करना चाहिए, वो किन सलाहियतों के हामिल हैं और ये कि कौन कौन से मौक़े उनके मुंतज़िर हैं वगैरह। आज का सेशन कुछ इसी तरह के सवालों को एड्रेस करेगा। टुडे वी आर वेरी ग्लैड टू हैव iGEM पाकिस्तान विद अस। iGEM पाकिस्तान बीकन स्कूल के मार्गला कैंपस इस्लामाबाद के कुछ बहुत टैलेंटेड स्टूडेंट्स पर मुश्तमिल एक टीम है जो बहुत जल्द दुनिया के सबसे बड़े सालाना बायोटेक कंपटीशन में हिस्सा लेगी और पाकिस्तान को रिप्रेजेंट करेगी। अब ये सिंथेटिक बायोलॉजी या सिनबायो क्या है, व्हाट डज़ iGEM स्टैंड फॉर, ये कंपटीशन क्या करेगा, इसका क्या नतीजे होंगे वगैरह, इसका थोड़ा सा मेरे सामने एक हल्का सा खाका मौजूद है। मसलन ये टीम जो है, बल्कि मेरा ख्याल है ये टीम अपनी ज़ुबान में ख़ुद ही बताए तो फिर हमें बेहतर इसके बारे में आगाही होगी। वी आर वेरी ग्लैड टू हैव हसनैन बुखारी विद अस जो iGEM फाउंडेशन को रिप्रेजेंट कर रहे हैं। मेरे दाएं जानिब ये आप उनको देख सकते हैं। मेरे सामने कुरतुलैन भी मौजूद हैं जो कि स्पेस बायोलॉजी रिसर्चर हैं। आप पाकिस्तान में iGEM को इसके अलावा सिंथेटिक बायोलॉजी या इन जनरल साइंस या साइंसी शोर की प्रमोशन के लिए अपना जो है वो किरदार अदा कर रही हैं। आप लोगों की आमद का भी शुक्रिया। थोड़ी सी जहमत करके अपने सेल फोन्स काइंडली स्विच कर दें टू साइलेंट मोड सो दैट देयर इज़ नो डिस्ट्रैक्शन। गुफ्तगू प्रेजेंटेशन इस सब के बाद, जैसा कि यहाँ की रवायत है, हाउस ओपन होता है फॉर Q&A, तो आप लोग उसमें ज़रूर हिस्सा डालिएगा अपने सवालों, अपने तबसरे के साथ, और ख़ास तौर पे iGEM पाकिस्तान की टीम की हौसला अफजाई कीजिएगा ताकि ये लोग पाकिस्तान का नाम उस कंपटीशन में रोशन करें। तो चलें, इसके साथ ही अब मैं दावत देता हूँ हसनैन बुखारी को जो रिप्रेजेंट करें iGEM फाउंडेशन को। हसनैन प्लीज़। थैंक यू।
All right, it should be working now. So thank you all for taking out your time in a very uncertain time. और आप लोग यहाँ पे आए for this event. My name is Hassnain Bukhari. I am the head of community comms at the International Genetically Engineered Machines Foundation. The purpose of this event today is introducing to the Pakistani community what is happening at the cutting edge of biotechnology at this point. How can students, researchers, and professionals get involved in the same ecosystem, और किस तरह की opportunities हैं, and what has been Pakistan's history or journey in the same ecosystem up till now. You'll have me today, you'll have Kuratlan here and the team that is planning on competing in iGEM this year. And what we're going to do is we're going to begin from a package that we made just to let you know about the scale and the energy of the event, where once you compete, which is called the World Expo of Synthetic Biology iGEM Grand Jamboree, which happens in Paris every year. तो उस event का scale क्या होता है, and where do the kids or the students or the professionals, the kind of research work they do, वो कहाँ किस तरह के ecosystem और environment में present करते हैं. So if you can play the video, that will be great.
It's not that we just magically wait for the 2050s to show up. You need to be thinking about what needs to be true by 2040. You need to be thinking about what needs to be true by 2030. And since it's just a few months from 2025, we got to get going.
I come to iGEM for the tingles, to be inspired. Where can I learn more about this field? The very first thing I say is come here. You want to see the future, you need to come to iGEM.
I think the future is very bright.
And I think it looks really bright in a large part due to iGEM.
It's giving a lot of people their first opportunity in a deep tech field, their first opportunity in biotechnology.
iGEM is the starting point of your career in synthetic biology for just about everybody these days.
So the fact that a 2018 iGEM project could literally save billions of lives, that's the power of iGEM.
The villages are a holistic effort to tackle global issues. They are a hub for collaboration and innovation.
If we want our grandchildren to have a life that we would be happy with, we need to do this now. And it's the people here who are going to make that difference.
One thing that's extraordinary about iGEM is not just working on the frontiers of science and technology. It's not just working on the policy for education and learning. It's all of this. And frankly, I know of no other venue where that can happen. It's iGEM.
One idea can change the world. The question is, what kind of world do we want to build together?
iGEM is on the forefront of incorporating responsibility in synbio projects.
First thing we all think of is how can we be safe and secure and responsible?
My field of expertise is in biosafety, so this is the most obvious great place to be.
We believe that responsibility should be at the heart of innovation. And all of you, iGEMers, are a vital part of this.
The hope for the AI is for it to become a predictive tool for the design of organisms and enzymes.
There is a lot of different companies that are really showing that AI can support pathologists, especially in oncology.
We aim to empower the next generation of biofounders. 15 of our best teams out of 88 have come to Paris to pitch at the innovation stage.
You get people who have this experience, this grit, this drive, working together in a very constrained timeline to achieve a very hard objective as a team. This is not something you get the chance to experience in academia.
If we're talking about things like flourishing and biodiversity loss and safety and security and the biotic future, and we're talking about it like we're talking about it today and it's suddenly the year 2032, that'll be too late. Don't wait. Now is the time to advance the biotic future we wish for.
The slide deck now. And so the video itself kind of इसका जो सबसे important message है वो urgency है. And the urgency of especially figuring out how we are going to use biology for social impact and social benefit. And so what we saw right now is a culmination of what the community does at the end in October. But before, since we have reached there, we're going to take a few leaps back to see how does a Pakistani community, how do people in Pakistan can reach that place. So my name is Hassnain. I used to be a part of Pakistan's team back in 2017, which was the last undergrad team that competed in iGEM. After that, a team from Lahore called Lakas, they competed in 2018. And since then, we haven't had a team from Pakistan who has been able to compete in this competition. We have tried to engage the government, we are trying to engage the private sector as well. It's a work in progress, it takes some time. But fortunately this year, we have a group of kids from Beaconhouse, Margalla campus who kind of motivated us and gave us hope and pushed us as well to kind of place Pakistan back in this community as well and to restart its journey. So next slide, please. And we are going to kind of understand biology in its essence, the possibilities that we have. How do those possibilities shift into what synbio is? And then from there, what iGEM is and what it has done. And like it's a culture in science, we're going to begin with observation. And the best place we have for observation is nature, its template. I've been reading this book recently called An Immense World. It's by Ed Yong. And the idea in that book is to understand all the different senses that exist in nature. We are aware of the 5 senses we have, but these aren't the only senses that exist in nature. There are more senses, and even the ones that we have, they are used differently by different organisms. So that kind of it gives you an idea of the enormity of possibilities that exist in nature. And if there's a way for us to use those possibilities to build something, to design something that can be used for social impact and to find solutions for problems that exist both locally and globally. You would see that there's spider silk. And it blew my mind when I found out that the same diameter of silk, and if you compare it with steel, the silk would be stronger. On the other hand, you have these leaves, and what's common in them, they all possess a morphology, उनका जो structure है, उनकी body, उनका color है, which kind of gives you some applications that can be applied. Silk, lotus leaf की a surface which is hydrophobic. Then you have these morpho butterfly, जिनका color होता है और जिनका skin का pattern होता है. It's organized in such a way that if it gets wet, it can stay dry और उसकी retention कम हो. Or you would think that if it's random, that's first question. It's not. It's by design. Can you show the next slide? And then there are other functions that exist in nature as well. I think up till now, we all are aware that artemisinin was extracted from a plant, right? And then now they figured out the cycle, the biochemical cycle that exists in plants, and then they replicated it within a yeast cell, and now they produce artemisinin there. Then we find that there's bioluminescence in nature as well. There's the firefly, which gives off these colors, and these colors serve as templates to build biosensors, to build chromatographic sensors. And similarly, there's a fish, and if you see that image right there, the colors that pop up, these are all the locations where that antifreeze protein is present in that fish. Next slide. And how do they all kind of produce this? How do they become functional? Is there something behind them? And yes, there is. There are genes. So for these examples, we have these set of genes that give these organisms these properties. For these, the functional ones, next slide. Or next slide. Morphological ones, all of them are because of genes. And behind genes, what do we have? Next slide. DNA. So DNA is genetic code. In science, in CS, we have your languages, we have C++, we have ones and O's, right? Similarly, in biology, we have A, T, G, and C's. We have 4 set of letters which code for all the functions we saw in the previous slides. Next slide. All right. So we have the DNA now, right? And what comes next is, and in order to make it useful for us, the things that we need to do is first figure out what that code is. जो genes दिखाए हैं, जो DNA का sequence है, उनका कौन से letters आते हैं, and which number they come in those, they appear in the code itself as well. So that is called reading. And you read the DNA through these devices called sequencers. Just to give you an example, कि कितनी ज़्यादा sequencing की tech evolve हुई है over the last 20 years. So these used to be the original sequencers, which could only sequence or read up to 500 to 1,000 base pairs. So that was in the early 2000s. But if you see right now, you can have these sequencers in your pocket. They can read more base pairs, but by base pairs are those sequences of ATG and GCs. And you can use your phones as well, like you see in that example. You can keep your phone, you can see, upload जाओ आपको कोई एक weird किस्म की नज़र आए sample. It could be fungus, it could be mushroom, and you're like, I need to know कि ये किस तरह बनना है और इसकी identity क्या है. You can take a sample from it, have the sequencer with yourself, although it's going to cost you a lot still. But you can figure out उसकी identity क्या है. Next slide. अब reading के बाद जो same next step आता है, that's writing. और biology के अंदर it's called synthesis because obviously. लेकिन अब synthesis has evolved itself as well over the past 20 years. There was a time when it used to cost 10 to 15 base pair, $10 to $15 per base pair उसको read करने के लिए और उसको write करने के लिए. But that cost has gotten down to $0.02 to $0.10 per base pairs. And we can create or synthesize base pairs up to a megabyte itself as well. And this one example also like kind of gives you an idea of the impact. जो ह्यूमन जीनोम प्रोजेक्ट हुआ था, where they tried to figure out कि इंसान का जो DNA है उसके अंदर उसका DNA सीक्वेंस का कोड क्या है, that costed around $3 billion back in 2003. The same thing can be done now at a cost of $1,000 itself as well. So we found out that DNA is essential, it codes for stuff. Next slide, Karna. We can read DNA, we can write DNA, and we have now the help of automation itself as well. Like years ago, you used to pipe it through mouth, and then even in some labs today as well, you use hand for pipetting, but now we are starting to bring in automation towards biology as well. ताकि जो mechanical labor वाले tasks हैं, that can be given to those robots, ताकि high throughput हो उसकी, and then you can spend your time thinking about and scheming about what you're going to do with your project, what kind of problems you're going to solve. Next slide. Okay, so ये चीज़ें हो रही हैं tech की तरफ से, and then there were some engineers. Then this is like between the 1995s to early 2000s, who was like, okay, recombinant DNA technology that came in around the 80s and 70s. We have we produce insulin, but the fundamental issues with using biology as a technology, they are the same. You will do experiment in one lab, and if you try to do it in another lab, it won't work. There aren't standards in it, similarly to how standards exist within engineering. So just to give you an example, जो nut होता है, उसके जो threads होते हैं, around the 80s and the 19th century, each nut had a different format of those threads. And then a person came in, I forgot his name, and he was like, this doesn't make sense. For example, अगर मेरी device का एक screw गुम हो गया, तो he'll have to go to a specialist to find that screw. So he was like, no, we need a standard for it. ताकि जो device का essential component है, which keeps it together, regardless of where you are, you can find the same thing. The next thing was abstraction. It's also an engineering principle. It kind of boils down to forgetting about the complexity and using the standardization that you have to use DNA sequences as biobricks, as components of a circuit, inserting them and seeing if they're going to function or not. So how do you do it? You make sure your standardization is good enough that you can then use those standard parts and combine them together in a circuit and create something or engineer something of use to you. So that led to this field called synthetic biology. It's basically bringing engineering principles such as standardization, abstraction, modularity to biology and improve upon genetic blueprints of existing organisms to design and create novel biological devices and systems. Next slide. You can move to the next slide. All right, so this is an example of the similarities and the parallelness that you see within different fields. On one hand, in CS, you'll have code. You'll use those codes to build softwares. In electrical engineering, you'll have circuits. You'll combine those circuits to build processors. And they're trying to adopt the same kind of design thinking into biology itself as well. कि आप इस एक DNA के sequences को इतना standardize कर दो कि you can just plug and play them like I was telling you about and build organisms with applications. Next slide. Okay, so these were the ideas that biologists and engineers had and they were trying to bring into biology. So this is like around the early 2000s, and you have seen in the slides below कि उस time पे sequences was expensive, उस time पे synthesis was expensive, but they were like, okay, this is going to get cheaper, and while it does that, we need to figure out कि how can we make biology more practical, how can we make it more predictable, and how can we turn biology into a truly technological discipline. So these are the guys. There's Randy Redberg, there's Tom Knight, and there's Wendy. Just video, you may have seen him pop up a lot. So these were the pioneers of the field. Drew, Randy, and Tom, they were computer scientists. They worked on, they built the ARPANET, which was the precursor of the internet that we have today. And then, next slide. And then there's Drew there with his eyes closed, but he's the one who gives the field its vision. So I think there's, पिछली slide. Bando boys wali. And these were the pioneers of the field. And then they came up, and then they were thinking that, okay, we have these ideas in our mind. What's the best way to test that they would work? The second question that they had is, if they work, what would be the most efficient way to train a global community that can apply these principles into biology and make this field progress? And then next slide, they came up with this competition called iGEM. So this competition started off as a course at MIT in 2003, and then 2004 it turned into a competition itself as well. And at that time, it was a very localized competition in the US, 5 teams, the Ivies and Illinois and UT Austin, they competed. And the idea was simple, like I said, test DNA fragments as bio bricks and see if you can make functional products from them. And this happens, and previous slide. And instead of the scientific cycle, they use the same engineering cycle: design, build, test, and learn. You'll design your experiment. You'll try to figure out कि आपने क्या application or क्या function express करवाना है एक organism के अंदर. It could be an bacterial cell, it could be a yeast cell as well. And then you're going to build that itself. फिर आप इसको टेस्ट करोगे, you'll do essays to see जो आपको function चाहिए था वो produce हो रहा या नहीं है. And then you'll figure out कि इसके अंदर उसका productivity की value क्या है, rate क्या है, and how can it be improved. And then you use it to do the learn cycle itself as well. Or इसी cycle से, and this has been happening for the last 22 years now. And this cycle has been helping us standardize biology itself as well. Next slide. So this was one of the first projects that the teams did. Those are चार में UT Austin की. And then they tried to produce a biological camera. So if you see on the right hand slide के ऊपर, उस पे उन्होंने बैक्टीरिया को इस तरह इंजीनियर किया कि जैसे ही उसके पास लाइट आती थी तो वो कलर एक्सप्रेस करता था, और जिसके साथ वाले बैक्टीरियाज होते थे they'll only express their colors अगर उनके नेबर वाला बैक्टीरिया एक्सप्रेशन कर रहा है. And that's how they came up with the idea of a biological camera. And this happened in 2004. And they were like, okay, when this project was done, they were like, oh, wow. So what we were thinking about standardization, it does work. And there's a need to scale it up as well. And then from there, the iGEM competition kept on scaling from 5 teams in 2004 to, I think this is the photo from our competition last year. We had like 415 teams from 50 plus countries that competed. Like I said initially, Pakistan competed in 2017. I was a part of that team, and then in 2018, high schoolers competed. And for the past 6 years, we haven't been able to have a team for this competition. Next slide. So, अब होता क्या है competition में? From foundational ideas, we have moved towards having field-based ideas as well. So we have these villages, and each team that competes, high school, undergrad, or postgrad, they can work on these ideas in these villages. So what they're going to do is that the competition starts in February, and they're going to start brainstorming on what they want to do. इनमें से कौन से उन्होंने the topic of village choose करना है, and then they build their projects. If they register for the competition, iGEM provides them a list of, so we have a registry as well, which has all those standardized DNA sequences, DNA parts, and we have more than 20,000 parts there as well. And then we have partners now कि जो आप sequence और जो आपका design होगा, those partners are going to produce those for you. So you'll have the help of large scale companies, synthesis companies, जो आपके सारे circuits के design हैं वो आपको design करके देंगे, and try to see if your hypothesis that you have, it's functional, it works or not. Next slide. I've already told you about this. It has been 22 years since this competition has been taken place. 86,000 people from around the globe up till now have competed in it, and there have been around 4,600 projects that have came out from this competition. Next slide. This has been the impact of it. It has been 20 years. Whichever country you go to, or whichever country you try to see what's happening in synbio there'll be one common thing there. You'll find out that the people leading it are those who competed in this competition. They were either team PIs, they were team students, even in Pakistan as well. So I myself, I'm an iGEM, and that's how I got into it, right? So next slide. बस ये सही है पिछली. And अब उसमें ये क्या होता है कि अब you're there for 22 years, you are at the foundation, the center of the field. So over these years, we have also like expanded our scope of work as well. Biology is a sensitive technology, and you need to be very responsible for it. So our जो हमारा competition का program है, उसके अंदर responsibility is an important element of it. And what we call it is human practices. And what human practices means is trying to figure out how the work that you're doing is going to affect the world and how the world will affect your world. So while you're designing your project, it's essential for you to engage with the stakeholders, to engage with the potential customers, to engage with the community who might suffer from dire consequences of this project. So for example, if you're working on agriculture, you're supposed to engage with people who are farmers, people who consume food, all of us. You're supposed to engage with Pakistan's food security wali organizations as well to see कि जो आपका project का design है, is it safe enough, is it responsible enough to be implemented. So that comes up in responsibility culture. I was saying 20,000, we have 75,000 biological parts here that teams can use to plug and play like Lego. Circuits बना सकते हो. And then since the next slide करें आप, मैं आपको बात पे आऊँगा. And you'll feel and you'll think, is it something that only biologists can do? Not at all. The field was founded by engineers. It's discipline agnostic in its roots. So you don't have to be a biologist to be a part of it. Although I was a biologist, but like what I got from the competition was the human practices wala part. किस तरह आप community को engage करते हो, किस तरह आप policy वालों को engage करते हो, and that kind of stuck with me, and that became my career itself as well. If you're a designer, if you are someone who is into space, our next speaker is in space, so you'll see how she got into biology and how she used her experience and her passion for space and planet and synbio. You could be in arts as well, same. Next speaker is also a bio artist. So philosophy, I won't say कि मुझे philosophy इतनी आती है, लेकिन web design, physics, so it's a very interdisciplinary competition in its essence. So you can have people who are coming from different needs or goals in their career and still become a part of this team and in this competition. And this is very essential because biology has historically been a very siloed discipline where you'll just have biologists, especially in Pakistan. You'll do your undergrad, you'll do your master's, you'll do your PhD, you'll do your postdoc, you'll become a professor, you'll keep on flipping between different projects. And the ideas that you may have in the beginning, which you thought you could make them functional, you could apply them, they don't end up taking place. And I think a major reason for it is you keep your ideas, you keep your process to yourself and limit it to your disciplines. And that kind of the ivory towel that needs to be broken down to make biology more functional. And that's why in its essence, iGEM serves as a field expertise agnostic platform. Next slide. Benefits for students. You create a project with an impact. You participate in an international community. You have access to opportunities in the competition, some that we provide as an organization, some that you get to be aware of because you're engaging with the community, which in their own regions, in their own locality, are building the synbio ecosystem. So you'll find those individuals who might be of use to you in your careers at that very place. And then develop comm skills. We're going to figure that out once we listen to the kids as well, if it indeed does that. Next slide. So if you're a researcher, if you're a professional, what does it have for you? You'll gain a network of individuals whom you can collaborate with your projects, although it's a competition, but you get evaluated based on your collaborative efforts as well. So we encourage teams that whatever you're working on, try to see if in your same country, if in different countries, other teams are doing something similar, or if they're doing something that could have a synergy with you as well. So there's that. Create your connections in your community, assess opportunities, establishment. But I think the most important one here is accelerated research. So something that would have taken 3 or 4 years for a lab to work on, if you compete in a competition, you're competing with an interdisciplinary team, and you have these deadlines that you have to fulfill. What you're going to do in 2 or 3 years, you can do that in 4 to 5 months. And we have seen that by many of the teams, so we also have collaborations with journals as well. So that the project आप काम कर रहे हो competition के दौरान वो आप उस journal के अंदर publish कर सकते हो. And right after the competition ends, frontiers in synbio, frontiers in systems and biology, frontiers in bioinformatics. You can publish those papers in those journals as well. And we have seen teams जिन्होंने उस साल compete किया था reach out to us कि अब हमने इसको publish करना है, and then they end up being published. Next slide. How to get involved? You can start an iGEM team, obviously. You can become an iGEM judge. So her competition के end पे we recruit a judging cohort as well to evaluate the team projects. They can either be remote or in person, and if it's in person, they're going to be there at the Jamboree in Paris and evaluate the team projects itself as well. You can also be a volunteer at the Jamboree, or you can apply to the programs in the next slide. Next slide. So yeah, back पिछली slide. अच्छा अगली slide करते हैं. अगली थोड़े से मेरे साथ हाँ तो iGEM के ना different programs है. Competition हो गया, responsibility I told you about earlier as well. अगली slide करना आप. अगली slide पिछली. अगली हाँ तो the first one is the startups program. The projects that have gone from the competition up till now, and this is like 2014 के August, July का data. They have raised over $3 billion in funding. They have created more than 2,500 jobs. There are over 300 startups that emerged from the competition, one in Pakistan itself as well. और क्या कहते हैं last year जो हमारी teams थी या जो उस time पे iGEMers थे, they raised around, I think by the end of this year, 110 to 112 million in funding itself as well. And once we saw that, we created this program as well to help teams and iGEMers take their project and turn it into a startup. So we have a parallel program that happens throughout every year where this becomes increasingly important for Pakistan because यहाँ का जो entrepreneurial culture है, it's very e-com focused, and even if it's hard tech or deep tech, वहाँ पे भी you won't get enough support there because of the lack of ecosystem there, and it becomes even more evident in biology. The same timelines, the same deadlines, the same deliverables you might have for e-com, right? They won't work in biology. It has a lengthier timeline. Legality is different hoti hai. So we came up with this program. इसमें biohackathon से start होता है, then there's a venture foundry, and then you compete at the same event. Paris के अंदर parallel पे ये event भी चल रहा होता है, and we train kids, teams, researchers, professors to become a better and have a better understanding of a bioentrepreneurial ecosystem. Next slide. Next, responsibility. So, responsibility. So these are all of our partners in responsibility. You'll see there's OECD there, there's FBI, there's Department of State, there's the UN Convention, there's NIT Bio. And we engage with them through the competition and with our alumni as well to bring these individuals to the competition, iGEMers, in these meetings, in these spaces, so that they could share their experience there as well. ताकि एक holistic किस्म की understanding हो about what's happening in synbio, what can be improved, and if there's something that we should be worried about, and if so, किस तरह की interventions ली जा सकती हैं. And since I told you earlier कि जो iGEM का competition होता है, responsibility is an important part of it, so the students are naturally tuned to think about safety and responsibility in their project as well. And through that process, we kind of place them in these events. We have different programs, fellowships, we have the delegate program as well, and we send these students to these places. Next slide. Then we have the iGEM community program as well. Through this program, you can either become an ambassador, you can become a promoter, and if you want to promote iGEM in your region, you can join there. We also have different set of topics: education, academia and research, industry, governance and policy. And if you think you have an idea which could be useful for the community, you can access this program as a place to provide you the resources to get that, to make that idea work, to have a team of your own, globally, a local team, whatever you want, and to give you the resources that could make it work. Next slide. I think it should be done. Next slide. Yep. So before I move on to Kuratalan, who is the iGEM promoter for Pakistan right now, this is like my sixth session of Genes and Machines at Black Hole. And the idea is me and my founders, we build a community in Pakistan that is aware of what's happening non-traditionally in biotech. किस तरह लोग उसको अप्रोच कर रहे हैं, and how you can get involved with the opportunities. So we have an Instagram account, we have a WhatsApp group as well, where we have discussions, where we share opportunities, or just like किसी चीज़ के ऊपर डिस्कोर्स करना हो तो हम वो वहाँ पे कर लेते हैं. But anyways, I'll now move on to Kurutlan, who is going to tell you about Pakistan's journey in iGEM and what's up in synbio right now. Thank you. Kurutlan.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. First of all, thank you so much for having me today. It's been almost 6-7 years that I've been part of iGEM community itself in Pakistan unofficially, but now officially I've taken the role of promoter in iGEM community, where I'm promoting the synthetic biology and synthetic biology के जो tools हैं जो हम use कर सकते हैं for the research purposes in our region. Just to give you a quick background, मेरा background academically कहाँ से है? So I'm basically a graduate of biomedical engineering, but with the research focus in space and synthetic biology. Some of you might be like, why is she pursuing space biology in Pakistan? We don't even have space biology ki resources over here. The simple answer is the spin-offs. Spin-offs are basically things or research that are driven जो कि space में की जाती हैं, but they have a bigger impact on people living on Earth. And how I do it is basically I use the data and the tools of synthetic biology to make research accessible, space biology research accessible in Pakistan. Quickly, I'll walk through the project that I've been involved in. So basically, I use NASA's Gene Lab data, and I merge the data with all of the other domains that speaks about me, which is art. I do art, I love nature as well. So I try to find patterns कि किस तरह से things that are happen in space are also implicable on Earth as well, and vice versa goes on to the different discourse जिस तरह science communication की बातें की जाती हैं. So that's all about me. Next. So without further ado, let's talk about what is the Pakistan ka synthetic biology ecosystem. Next slide. Next, okay. So when we think about Pakistan, most of us, keeping the current situation aside, हमारे दिमाग में कुछ 3-4 ही चीज़ें आती हैं. Next slide. Either it's the culture, it's the food, it's the beautiful mountains of Skardu, or maybe cherry blossoms, and maybe and last but not least we have issues जो कि हम regular basis पे जिनको हम discuss किया करते हैं. These are the pictures that are recurrent, right? हम जहाँ पे उठते हैं बैठते हैं communities में जब हम पाकिस्तान की बात कर रहे होते हैं, तो these are images that are popping up in our heads 24/7. Next slide. But why is it not science? Why is it not labs? Why it's not biology? Why it's not the tools that can help the community or our economy in general? Next. But if we trace back a little bit, so we'll find out that there is a big part of this science communication that is happening. और ये tiny waves हमारी जो community में है वो already बन रही हैं, but it's not visible as जो कि बाकी हमें sciences नज़र आती हैं in our region. So let's have a look कि किस तरह से हमने synthetic biology को समझा है अपने region में. Next slide. So the first giant leap in synthetic biology took place back in 2016 when our very first iGEM team was trying to solve a very simple problem जो कि हमारी country में है, which is the water pollution का मसला. The people who don't have the access to the water, जब वो पानी लेने जाते हैं अपने local areas से, तो they face two main issues. The contamination of toxins और उसके साथ साथ microbial contamination भी face करते हैं. So these were the guys next who were basically focusing on कि how can we engineer a bacteria named as E. coli, जो कि हमारे intestines में पाया भी जाता है, and how we can use the E. coli to basically make a sensor जो कि पानी में जाके डिटेक्ट करेगा different toxins को और वो अपना कलर चेंज करेगा. And they somehow managed to succeed with the biological design जो हसनैन बात कर रहे थे, and we got bronze in the jamboree that year. This was the very first step. इसकी वजह से हमारी कम्युनिटी में हुआ क्या कि एक डोमिनो इफेक्ट स्टार्ट हो गया टू सी के हाउ वी कैन यूज सिंथेटिक बायोलॉजी टू सॉल्व लोकल प्रॉब्लम्स. नेक्स्ट. जिस तरह से हसनैन ने बताया कि in 2017 they went again, they participated, but again this time they were working on a project named as reporter fish, again solving a very local problem, but this time with a very highly complex organism जो कि next. Basically they were trying to solve the problem of water में हमारे पास जो contaminant heavy metal contaminants है वो किस तरह से बायोसेंसर के थ्रू उस रिपोर्टर फिश में आपको नज़र आ सकते हैं. But this time around the project was so good that we were able to ace a silver medal. So this shows कि in a country like Pakistan जहाँ पे साइंस से related resources and tools कम हैं, synthetic biology can pave way to solve local problems, but at the same time we can give the government the proof of concept that is something that we as a community can do in Pakistan. Next. Fast forward from 2017 to 2019, we had other teams, high school teams from Lahore, जिन्होंने again participate किया. उसके बाद एक डोमिनो इफेक्ट ये भी हमारे पास सामने आया कि वी हैड लाइक a very first synthetic biology company जो कि basically help करता था research students को to design these biological microbes जो कि sensors के basis पे या तो color change करें या फिर आपके पास वो glow करें जब भी वो कोई toxin या फिर आप कह लें कि कोई भी गंदा molecule पानी या फिर soil में आपको मिले. And last but not least, we also were able to have like different platforms for science communication, जिसमें से genes and machines, undivided bioart community, and the synthetic biology community initiatives were the one who came out of the ecosystem. Next. And after 8 years, we can like proudly say that this year we are having high school team, जो कि again agriculture से related एक problem है उसे focus कर रही है, and I think I'll leave it to Ali to tell कि वो क्या कर रहे हैं. Next slide. So this was the whole timeline कि किस तरह से synthetic biology हमारे region में हो रहा था, but उसका impact research और education पे किस तरह से किया, how it transition into a curriculum, और curriculum में आने की वजह से हमारे पास किस तरह की collaborations और stakeholders को हमने किस तरह से engage किया है. Next. So basically we know कि initially the team started off at CCOS because we had like 2 successful teams जो हमारे पास एक proof of concept था, उसकी basis पे the institute starting a whole curriculum around synthetic biology within the university, जिसकी वजह से we had proper like 6,000 graduates, which जिनमें से आप कह लेंगे 25% of them went to pursue projects related to synthetic biology. Next, it also वापस आए. Okay. इसकी वजह से एक और चीज़ हमारे region में ये हुई कि we kind of were able to map out कि synthetic biology कौन सी age group या फिर कौन सी तरह के लोगों में ज़्यादा excitement या फिर उनके लिए ये चीज़ करना easy है, and they were the high schoolers. For that, the STEMX program were like really kind enough कि they do annual synthetic biology का course in collaboration with the PIF Foundation as well, and it started back in 2018. फास्ट फॉरवर्ड हमने इकोसिस्टम की बात कर ली, हमने बात कर ली कि ओके कोर्सेज हो रहे हैं, बट हाउ कैन वी इंगेज इन रियल टाइम रिसर्च के हम इन बच्चों को लैब का एक्सेस किस तरह से प्रोवाइड कर सकें. तो उसके लिए द लैब इन पेशावर विच इज़ नोन एज प्रिसिजन मेडिसिन लैब, दे ओपनड अप डिफरेंट अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ फॉर हाई स्कूलर्स एंड अंडरग्रेड्स जो कि सिंथेटिक बायोलॉजी रिसर्च को इन रियल टाइम एप्लीकेशंस की पर्सपेक्टिव से परस्यू करना चाहते हैं. दे कैन जॉइन द लैब एज वेल. And last but not least, from 2023 to 2025, we were not only able to engage with the scientists or biologists or engineers or stakeholders, but we also were able to engage artists as well. We were also able to see कि किस तरह से हम सिंथेटिक बायोलॉजी को टेक्सटाइल इंजीनियरिंग या फिर मटेरियल इंजीनियरिंग या फिर जैसे हम कहते हैं सर्कुलर इकोनॉमी, जहाँ पे वेस्ट हमारे पास जो होता है वो ज़ीरो होता है, उसको हम किस तरह से अपनी फैशन इंडस्ट्री में इंट्रोड्यूस करवा सकते हैं. एंड इट हैपेंड बिकॉज द कम्युनिटी कोलैबोरेटेड विद वन ऑफ द मोस्ट फेमस artist of Pakistan, Rana Rashid. He was kind enough to open a graduate course at BNU जहाँ पे हम synthetic biology and designers के साथ हम मिल के काम कर सकते हैं. Next. So this is like a very overview कि इतने साल इतने लोग इतनी कम्युनिटी इतने स्टेक होल्डर्स के साथ हमने इंगेज किया है. So we can say कि we have knowledge from different field of backgrounds, और उसके बेसिस पे हम किस तरह से अपने क्या हम ऐसा पाकिस्तान इमेजिन कर सकते हैं जहाँ पे ये सारी चीज़ें एप्लीकेबल हो सकती हैं या नहीं, और क्या इतनी बड़ी कम्युनिटी को हम सिंथेटिक बायोलॉजी के टूल्स और जितने भी हमारे पास रिसोर्सेज हैं अगर हम उनकी एक्सेस दे दें तो हमें किस तरह का पाकिस्तान नज़र आता है. नेक्स्ट. सो वी आर थिंकिंग कि हमारे पास इतने सारे लोग हैं from different backgrounds, right? We have artists, we have designers, we have engineers, we have scientists, and we have philosophers and people from different field of backgrounds. अब हमने just imagine हमने इनको synthetic biology के tools जो हसनैन ने बात की, हमने registry, iGEM की community, और हमने इनको बता दिया कि किस तरह से biology के tools के साथ काम करना है. अब पाकिस्तान किस तरह से नज़र आ रहा है. Next. So basically, these are real-time examples of what is happening in Pakistan ka synthetic biology ecosystem. We are biologically engineering colors out of microbes. अगर हम उस तरफ देखें तो हमारे पास different microbes हैं on a petri dish जो कि ग्रो करवाई गई हैं, और इसी के साथ हमारे पास छोटी छोटी एपीट्यूब्स हैं जिसके एंड में हमें कलर्स नज़र आ रहे हैं. दीज आर बायोलॉजिकली सस्टेनेबल कलर्स जो कि हमने नेचर से निकाले हैं. अगर हम आगे की तरफ आते हैं फैशन आर्ट एंड टेक्सटाइल की तरफ, तो वी आर यूजिंग द सेम कलर ऑन डिफरेंट मटीरियल्स. यहाँ पे एक तरफ हमारे पास मटेरियल है, वो आप कह सकते हैं इट्स अ मिक्स ऑफ कॉटन एंड अगार विच इज़ वेरी बायोडिग्रेडेबल, जिससे आपकी कपड़े की जो शेल्फ लाइफ है वो कम होती है. if anyone is interested in pigments, अगर आपको पता है कि पिगमेंट्स किस तरह से निकाले जाते हैं, इट रिक्वायर्स अ लॉट ऑफ वाटर, और ओर्स जो आपके होते हैं वो डिगअप किए जाते हैं, तो इट रिक्वायर्स अ लॉट ऑफ रिसोर्सेज. सो व्हाई नॉट टू शिफ्ट टू बायोलॉजी टू मेक कलर्स, व्हाई नॉट टू यूज़ बायोलॉजी टू हैव अ ग्रेटर इम्पैक्ट ऑन टेक्सटाइल इंडस्ट्री इन पाकिस्तान. लास्ट बट नॉट लीस्ट, वी ऑल्सो कैन इंजीनियर मटीरियल्स. तो यहाँ पे जो आपको ये एक प्लास्टिक नुमा चीज़ नज़र आ रही है, it's made out of bacteria, and it's there in Peshawar. So maybe you guys should visit Peshawar. My favorite part is obviously space exploration. स्पेस के अपने लवाज़मात हैं, वहाँ की अपनी ही challenges हैं, जिसमें से radiations और microgravity is like a big issue. So can we design microbes जो कि यूवी रेडिएशन को रेजिस्ट कर सकें, हाई डोजेज ऑफ यूवी रेडिएशन को रेजिस्ट कर सकें, और इसका स्पिन ऑफ हमें किस तरह से आएगा ऑन अर्थ. वी कैन यूज़ द सेम माइक्रोब टू क्रिएट लाइक सनस्क्रीन, हमें एक biologically sustainable sunscreen हमें मिल रहा है, so why not to use that? और यहाँ पे जो आपको एक vial नज़र आ रहा है, इसमें basically there is a microbe that can resist high dosage of radiation. This is happening again in Peshawar. Please do visit us if you happen to be there. Last but not least, we talked about sensors which can glow in dark when they are able to find a particular toxin in water. So these are the real examples from iGEM 2016, if I'm not wrong, 2016, right? So these were the sensors जो कि उन्होंने design किए थे, and when they came in contact with the contaminants, so they started glowing. So this is happening in Pakistan. This is not like rocket science. Next. So we talked about the timeline, we talked about projects, we talked about कि किस तरह से पाकिस्तान हो सकता है और है, but कौन वो लोग हैं जो कि ये पूरा इकोसिस्टम फॉर नाउ पाकिस्तान में रन कर रहे हैं, जिनको हम easily access कर सकते हैं if anyone is interested of doing synthetic biology in Pakistan. So I'll start with Islamabad. We have obviously Hassnain, then we have Muiz, and then we have Ahmed. In Lahore, we have Marshad. I mean, he's not here, but you can obviously reach out to him virtually. In Karachi, we have Ismail and Fatima. And in Peshawar, because it all started in Peshawar, so the main hub of synthetic biology is Peshawar, but we are trying our best कि हम पूरी community को localize कर सकें पूरे पाकिस्तान में. So in Peshawar, the man behind synthetic biology in Pakistan is Dr. Faisal. Then we have Sarah, who was one of the mentors and who participated in iGEM 2016 team as well. Then we have Rubina. Then it's me, and last but not least, one of my friends named as Mahin Arshad, who works in the science communication projects in the iGEM community. Next. अगर हम हर चीज़ को compile करें तो this is the current ecosystem that we are looking at from across different regions of Pakistan, जहाँ पे हम knowledge, research and labs को हम access कर सकते हैं. So if you are from Islamabad, you can check out NAST का masters or PhD का program for synthetic biology. If you are from Lahore or if you are a textile designer, want to work with artists, please reach out to the people at BNU. If you happen to be in Peshawar, please do visit a precision medicine lab or a Veros Life Sciences. If you're a high schooler and if you're passionate about like a home project, they also have their internship program जो कि 6 weeks के लिए वो launch करते हैं. It's open to everyone from different regions. We had people from Islamabad, Lahore, Karachi in the past cohorts. You can join the program as well. By the way, the applications are open. Next. ये तो हमने बात कर ली सारी exciting चीज़ की, but we really need to acknowledge कि we do have barriers when it comes to synthetic biology in Pakistan. मेन मसला आता है करिकुलम का, because it's new and people are still skeptical कि हम इसको किस तरह से implement करें. Then there is the research collaboration के बारे में इतना लोगों को नहीं पता होता कि how we can engage with the stakeholders. A dedicated community, we have a community, but are they engaging with each other or not? Last but not least, we know that research funding has always been an issue for us, and I hope and I pray through this webinar that people step up to fund science and education in Pakistan. Next. So these are some of the opportunities जो कि इन barriers को cater करती है. We talked about funding. Please, investors fund the. आगे. Okay. So we need investors to fund young researchers or startups जो कि synthetic biology से related हैं. We need youth to engage with the right people जो कि pursue करना चाहते हैं ऐसी research. We need a dedicated community and the non-circular science, which is basically कि थोड़ा जो traditional route है उसको आप real time जो इंडस्ट्री में एप्लीकेबल रिसर्च है उसके साथ किस तरह से आप मर्ज कर सकते हैं. नेक्स्ट. Okay, this is a blank slide and I've kept it blank because I feel like we talked about community and we are a community over here right now. And it's important for me to put it out there that this session was initially postponed because we all know what is happening around us. But at the same time, as a scientist and as a researcher, we had to acknowledge that people like you are here because we have some hope in science in Pakistan, and also the fact that science can bring us all together and give us the idea of how resilient we are in these times as well. Next slide. This is all from my side. Thank you so much for listening to me. It's been a joy talking to you all, and please, 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 if you have any questions, if you want to participate in the competition, there is my email. Please feel free to email me, or maybe you can talk to Hassnain if you want to connect with me. Thank you so much.
Okay, I hope we haven't kept you here too long. Next slide. So, what is this stick-looking thing? And next slide. A fire tornado have in common? Well, last slide. This rod-looking thing is a bacterium known as Xanthomonas orziae, and it's responsible for destroying almost a third of rice production every year in Pakistan. And that's just in Pakistan. Keep in mind that almost 3.5 billion people around the world rely on rice as a staple food. And the thing that this and the fire tornado have in common is that both of them have been made much worse than they should be by humans. So human activity and human fossil fuel emissions have led to rising temperatures. And this has not only caused the sort of extreme weather events, not only the ridiculous thing that I showed you, but things like floods and droughts, which are very real and have destroyed harvests in Pakistan. And they have increased the severity of a lot of crop diseases like X orziae. Next slide. So this is a map of the current distribution of X orziae and the communities most at risk because of it. Next slide. These are the regions of the world which are going to be vulnerable because of rising temperatures and Xanthomonas orziae in the year 2050. And you can see, it's a lot more red. So next slide. So a lot of the solutions we've been using to fight infections like X orziae, antibiotics and compounds mainly, we've been using them so much that they've become nearly ubiquitous in our environment. And keep in mind, antibiotics are like landmines for bacteria. And well, when you live in a minefield, next slide, you learn to tread with caution. As a result, bacteria have become resistant to antibiotics, and so our most powerful weapons against these infections have become basically useless. Next slide. So, more sticks. You're probably wondering why. This is a bacterium known as Bacillus subtilis, and you could describe it as a private contractor. Next slide. It can basically help plants grow better by secreting certain compounds that we know as metabolites. In exchange for a fee, they get to live rent-free inside a plant, inside the safe and nutrient-rich spaces inside a plant. And so plants, next slide, have a very large community of these bacteria like Bacillus subtilis that we call the microbiome, and each individual bacteria are called endophytes. And so naturally, with the current state of things, a lot of scientists, next slide, thought that we could culture and use and grow these bacteria and engineer them to produce these metabolites in order to better fight these diseases and help our crops grow better. But the problem with this is that when you thrust a lab-grown microbe into an environment that I was never prepared for and into a community like the microbiome in which it has no clearly defined role, next slide, you get a little bit of what I like to call a culture shock. kind of like when people migrate to other countries. They're unable to integrate themselves into the microbial community, and they're unable to compete effectively, and so they don't end up surviving and thriving, and they don't end up helping plants fight disease. So what are we doing to address this? Next slide. Basically, our approach is to engage with a plant's existing microbial community. Instead of culturing and engineering and inserting microbes to produce metabolites, we want to help a plant manipulate its own microbes in order to produce those metabolites more effectively. Next slide. So how does this work? It starts with, as Kurtalan and Mr. Hassnain before me have described, with DNA. We insert a few fragments of DNA into plant cells, and RNA polymerase and ribosomes, which are basically like cellular factories, use these DNA as fragments as blueprints in order to build proteins. Our proteins are equipped with a little signal peptide that tells them that they need to get out of the plant cell and into the apoplast, a little nutrient-rich space in which a lot of plant bacteria live. And they essentially act as messengers, you might say. Next slide. They're also equipped with cell-penetrating peptides, which enable them to kind of sneak into a bacteria and pass its cell wall undetected. Next slide. So in good bacteria, which we know as endophytes like Bacillus subtilis, they basically grab onto the DNA that is used for producing metabolites, and essentially they increase metabolite production by grabbing as much RNA polymerase as they can and forcing it to produce those metabolites, which leads, of course, to improved crop health. Next slide. But in the case of a pathogenic bacteria like Exorziae, which destroy crops, they're more like a letter bomb than messengers. They basically grab on to the DNA of the pathogenic bacterium, and they basically hold on to it so tight that RNA polymerase can't produce any sort of protein from it. And of course, that any sort of protein that could be used for better infecting and killing crops. Next slide. And we call this system Emeralds, Engineering Microbial Endophytes for Resilient Agriculture with DCAS Mini. Next slide. And so this has a lot of applications in Pakistan especially, and we hope that if crops are bred and developed that use our Emerald system, we could save millions of farms and farmers from the impact of climate change and from infectious diseases which threaten the global food supply. Next slide. So how can you help? Money, basically put. Science is expensive and unfortunately not a priority for most institutional funders in Pakistan. And so I'd like to personally appeal to you to donate to or at least share our fundraiser campaign. If you look at the QR code at the end of our presentation, then you'll have our Instagram, and our fundraiser link is right over there. Next slide. So I don't think we've really talked about who we are. I've used this pronoun a lot, but we are essentially a team of 14 high schoolers from Beaconhouse, Islamabad, like Hassnain before me said. Next slide. With advisors from all over the world who are helping us design and implement the project. Next slide. So that's basically it. These are contact details and the link and the QR code for our Instagram. If any of you want to get in contact with us, or if you want to follow our journey, just scan the QR code. Thank you for that.
All right, so I hope all of you got a good understanding of what synbio is, what iGEM is. We have these two team leads for the Beaconhouse Markala team, and you have seen कि O2 और O3 के बच्चों ने कितना काम किया. This is way more thought that has gone into project than you would expect from undergrads or from master's students as well. And it gives you an idea that if you have the right kind of mentorship and opportunity to students, what are they capable of? And I'll say these kids are very special and they're very passionate. I personally, I had like few bad experiences with the government when I was trying to kickstart a program going on in Pakistan, so that you may have seen that registering for the competition costs a lot. So we were trying to engage the government to see कि कोई funding program हो सकता है where we can get 3 to 4 teams annually from the country कि compete कर सके. That did not happen. 6 or 7 months of wasted effort. And then in 2024, Ali came in, 4 to 5 calls a day, 20 messages a day, and he was like, we need help, we need help. And he kind of like put me on the toes and put the fuel behind me as well, कि हाँ, Okay, let's try to, and this is why we are helping these kids as well, to make sure that what passion that they have, it reaches a platform where they want to create an impact and represent Pakistan itself as well. And the same kind of help, mentorship, it also is available for others as well, provided that you are relentless and you want to do and make impact as well. We are currently in the process of fundraising for them. It's the deadline is pretty close, May 31st, but because of the political stuff happening in the country, I think it might not be possible to compete this year.
We will fight tooth and nail for iGEM 2026.
Yes, so we are still working on it. We are trying to put in our calls to the government people, to private sector, that the kids in Pakistan, they need funding. And science in Pakistan needs funding, and they need to know that there are people at the top who want to help the young kids in the country so that they could also explore what is possible with biology. And it's very essential considering the times that we are in. Hamara ecosphere, biosphere, it's replenishing. We went through industrial era. We used as much fuel as we wanted. We went into information era. We kind of like still using natural resources to kind of fuel information era ki research. And now the idea is to move towards the material era. Like I said in the beginning, find out inspiration from nature, see how nature is functioning for social and ecological impact, and usko hum kis tarah replicate kar sakte hain in these biological organisms that we call chassis. And the reason for that is that you have bacteria, you have yeast, they are self-growing, they regenerate, they heal, they are biological factories. So once you find out the code that exists in nature that can have a social impact, you can engineer it in these biological factories and create an impact. So I'm really thankful for all of you for being here. Like I said in the beginning, this is our 7th session in the Black Hole. So thank you so much, Nayyar and the Black Hole team, for having us here. And we'll continue to have these sessions and more activities so that you could find out what non-traditional avenues exist for you to put in your love for biology as well, and to find people who kind of share the same goals as well. There is another slide, and I have a cringe request. Release slide karna ek second. Okay, so since we have people from different age groups, yahan pe, if you could all come to the stage, we could have a picture here with this. I would be really grateful for you. We do this with the summer school and winter school kids, and I would love if you could do that as well. I would like to close it by saying, thank you, iGEM Pakistan, for being here and for the work that you're doing. Thank you, Kurutulain, for coming all the way from Peshawar and telling us about what's happening in Peshawar. And thank you, the Black Hole, for giving people in Pakistan a space where they could discuss openly and also engage in conversations about science, culture, and arts. So yeah, and please photo zarur.
Hassnain, can I add a few sentences here? हाँ भाई, एक तो बात ये है कि हम सबको ये रियलाइजेशन है कि पाकिस्तान जो है वो तालीम के या टेक्नोलॉजी के मैदान में काफ़ी पीछे है दुनिया से, मगर हमें ख़ास तौर पर ये द ब्लैक होल का जो एक्सपीरियंस है हमारा 3 बरस का, मैंने देखा, हमारी टीम ने देखा, यहाँ जितने ऑडियंस आते हैं हमने देखा है कि यहाँ पे कितना पोटेंशियल है, कितना स्पार्क है। वो कहते हैं ना, ज़रा नम हो तो ये मिट्टी बड़ी ज़रखेज़ है साकी, तो मिट्टी की ज़रखेज़ी पे कोई शुबा नहीं है। आप लोग जो एफ़र्ट कर रहे हैं, मेरा ख़्याल है आगे बढ़ने का यही रास्ता है, यही इल्म मुकाबला नहीं बल्कि मुकालमा, और अगर मुकाबला भी है तो वो इल्म के मैदान में है, जंगो जदल के मैदान में नहीं है। पिछले दिन बड़े मुश्किल रहे, शुक्र है कि ठहराव आ गया है। हम चाहेंगे कि ये ख़ित्ता जो है दुनिया में आगे जाए, इसकी पहचान जंगो जदल दुश्मनी ना हो बल्कि इल्म हो, इसकी पहचान अमन हो, तो हम मिल के नॉलेज इकॉनमी में कितना अच्छा हिस्सा डाल सकते हैं। आप लोग यहाँ जो आए हैं, और आज मौसम भी बड़ा स्टॉर्मी था, लेकिन खुशी है मुझे कि ये इवेंट जो है जैसा कि शेड्यूल हुआ था उसके मुताबिक जो है हो सका। ऑल द बेस्ट टू iGEM टीम। हसनैन, आपके लिए, कुरतुलैन, आप पेशावर से आई, बहुत शुक्रिया आपका। तीसरे भाई का क्या नाम था? हाँ अली थैंक यू, वंडरफुल प्रेजेंटेशन. आप सब लोगों का भी शुक्रिया. एंड यस, biology is got it indeed. चले, let's have a group photo. और the black hole is here to encourage you, to provide you space anytime, every time. Thank you very much.